Welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we're going to be looking at Supreme Isthmus to find out how to play the front line. We all have had problems on the front line because it's one of the harder positions to hold. One of the most pivotal parts of this map is the very beginning with the large reclaim field in the center of the map. You should fight tooth and nail to get every ounce of metal you can from the center. Building res bots early is one of the best ways to do this, but be sure you bring some units to the front to defend them, otherwise they will get sniped down. Remember, this is one of your most significant advantages early on in the game. The fighting can get brutal at the front, but with a little bit of micro and attentiveness, you can succeed. If you have your commander at the front, make sure you make good use of that D-gun. If you are on the side that is closest to the weak C, it's extremely dangerous on the front line as the game progresses later and later. If your teammate ends up losing C completely, you're now susceptible to a large amount of artillery bombardments. They are capable of destroying your base in just a couple hits. This is why it's very important you try to take advantage as quickly as you possibly can before artillery comes and destroys your base. Anytime you have a map that has a little bit less surface area to maneuver around, artillery is going to be a bit stronger. The straight is pretty hard to push through when bombardments are happening right in front of you. This is why artillery is extremely effective on this map. Build it and use it to gain a huge advantage. Now you might ask, if artillery is so effective, how do you counter it? This can be a little bit more complicated, but there's a couple ways you can try to. I would recommend maybe a Juno launch to kill radar, especially later in the game, or you can try to spam, that way the artillery shoots at itself and kills it. For this, I recommend using either rovers or ticks. Another effective counter, but this is generally only early, would be some pop-up turrets. These guys have radar jamming, so if the enemy doesn't know they exist, they might roll their artillery straight into them and get shredded by them before they can pull back. If you did end up getting the reclaim on the beach, then you probably have a significant advantage. Try to push as hard as you can into the enemy's base, and hopefully your teammates will follow you up with that. That way you can maybe crush the game before you end up even losing the C. If, however, the game doesn't turn out so easy, then you're going to end up having to go T2. And when you do, one of the first things you should get after a couple T2 mexes is a plasma shield, especially if you're on the weak side by C. A plasma shield can be the difference between getting your whole base exploded with a couple shots and being able to live on into the late game. After you get that up, it would be important to start your T2 economy as far away from the C as you can manage. I know this is annoying and complicated, but it is very necessary in order to avoid the missile ships that will end up coming in from the sea. Just follow some of these basic tips and you'll start to win more games on Supreme Isthmus. Yes, it does stink to get the frontline position, but there are some things you can do to try to make the game a little bit more enjoyable if you do. None of these are guaranteed to work, but they might help you out along the way. If you enjoyed these tips, definitely subscribe. We've got more coming out essentially every day. And as always, guys, I will see you on the battlefield.